some very obvious but nonetheless interesting observations about how English is spoken. Automatic and inborn as language might seem to be, there are still things we need to know about it, elements that are so obvious, very few of us ever consider them. We should probably take a little time to consider certain aspects of spoken English, a language whose oral properties are actually very different from those of its more distant ancestors, Anglo-Saxon, Latin and Greek, and even from those of its nearer relations, French and German. Some of what follows may seem so obvious that it will put you in danger of sustaining a nosebleed. Bear with me nonetheless. We are beginning from first principles. How we speak. Each English word is given its own weight or push as we speak it within a sentence. That is to say, each English word is given its own weight and push as we speak it within a sentence. Only a very badly primitive computer speech program would give equal stress to all the words in that example. A real English speaker would say it much, but certainly not exactly as I have done. Some words or syllables will be slid over with hardly a breath or pause accorded to them, others will be given more weight. Surely that's how the whole world speaks. Well, in the Chinese languages and in Thai, for example, all words are of one syllable, monosyllabic, and speech is given colour and meaning by variations in pitch. The speaker's voice will go up or down. In English, we colour our speech not so much with alterations in pitch as with variations in stress. This is technically known as accentuation. English, and we shall think about this later, is what is known as a stress-timed language, from time to time and for as long as it takes. I must repeat, these are not special emphases, these are the natural accents imparted. We glide over the particles, from, to, and, for, as, it, and give a little push to the important words, time, long, takes, from time to time and for as long as it takes. Also, we tend to accent the operative part of monosyllabic words when they're extended, only lightly tripping over the ing and li of such words as hoping and quickly. We always say British. We never say British or Brit-ish. Always machine, never machine or mash-een. The weight we give to the first syllable of British or the second syllable of machine is called by linguists the tonic accent. Accent for our purposes means the natural push or stress we give to a word or part of a word as we speak. In many-syllabled or polysyllabic words, there will always be at least one accent. Credit, dispose, continue, despair, desperate. Sometimes the stress will change according to the meaning or nature of the word. He inclines to project bad vibes. A project to study the inclines. He proceeds to rebel. The rebel steals the proceeds. Some words may have two stresses, but one will always be a little heavier. Abdicate, consideration. Sometimes it's a matter of nationality or preference. Chicken soup, armchair, sponge cake, cigarette, magazine. Those are the more usual accents in British English. Chicken soup, armchair, sponge cake, cigarette, magazine. That is how they are said in America and increasingly these days in the UK and Australia too. What about the following? Lamentable, mandatory, primarily, yesterday, incomparable. And lamentable, mandatory, primarily, yesterday, incomparable. Whether the tonic should land as those in the first version or the second is a vexed issue and subject to much controversy or controversy. The pronunciations vary according to circumstances, or indeed circumstances, too English, class-bound and ticklish to go into here. You may think, well, now hang on, surely this is how everyone, the Chinese and Thais aside, talks, pushing one part of the word but not another. Not so. The French, for instance, tend towards equal stress in a word. They pronounce Canada, Canada, as opposed to our Canada. We say Bernard, the French say Bernard. You may have noticed that when Americans pronounce French, they tend to go overboard and hurl the emphasis onto the final syllable, thinking it sounds more authentic, Bernard, and so on. They're so used to speaking English with its characteristic downward inflection that to American ears, French seems to go up at the end. With trademark arrogance, we British keep the English inflection, hence the American pronunciation cliché, the English cliché, and the authentic French cliché. Take also the two words journal and machine, which English has inherited from French. We pronounce them journal and machine. The French give them their characteristic equal stress, journal and machine. Even words with many syllables are equally stressed in French. We say repetition. They say répétition. Répétition. As you might imagine, this has influenced greatly the different paths that French and English poetry have taken. The rhythms of English poetry are ordered by syllabic accentuation, those of French more by quantitative measure.